My new Toyota Tacoma lift, what it is, what it cost me, and also a quick look at the alignment after it was all done. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Robmotive. Let's take a look at my new lift, and this is on my 2021 Toyota Tacoma. What it cost me, and do I like it? First of all, what I decided to do, I wanted this truck to be different than what I've done before. And by before, I'm talking about my previous two Tacomas. And let's talk about my most recent one, and that was a 2020 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road. That had a 3-inch Bill Stein shock and coil combo lift or replacement in the front, and then Bilsteins in the back as well. I believe they were 6112s in the front and 5100s in the rear, or vice versa. But either way, they were adjustable in the front, and I had them adjusted as high as they would go, and that was supposed to be, I believe, 2.75 inches. They actually yielded a 3.1 or 3.5 inch lift as compared to what I had prior to having them installed, and then it was just a 2-inch block with the new shocks on the back. The ride was really, really firm. It was the best that I had had at the time, but still really, really firm as compared to stock. So this time around, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I decided I wasn't going to go as high on this truck, and I really didn't want to use a block and spacer setup. I wanted something different. Now, in my research, I had discovered that part of my issue on the other truck was probably replacing the coils because they were firmer. And by going all the way up on the spring or on the shocks, probably made them a little bit more harsh as well because they had less travel in them because I had them set as high as they would go. So I didn't want to do that again. So what I decided to do on this truck was to try to make it level. And to do that with the weight that I'm going to have in the back because of the sport bar that I'm going to put in, I had to accommodate a 1 1/4 inch difference between the front and the rear being 1 1/4 inches higher. So I went with just Bilstein adjustable shocks on the front. They're called a B8 5100 ride height adjustable shock. There are, I believe, 4 different settings. You have stock, 0.65, 1.1, and 2.75 that you can set those at for the amount of lift that you want. I went with 1.1. because I calculated to accommodate that 1.25 inch difference that I'd have, 1.1 was going to get me about as close as I could get. Now, the one thing I wanted to make sure that I did was not have what I'll call a negative rake in the front. I didn't want the nose to pop up. The Tacoma comes with a rake anyway. It points down, right? The front's lower than the rear. I didn't want to go the other way. So that's why I went with 1.1 as opposed to 2.75. And as I've mentioned in a previous video, make sure that if you're trying to attain a level lift, you don't go with a 2-inch block in the front because that is going to pop the front up higher. The rear is not 2 inches higher than the front. So I went with the Bilstein 5100s. They are adjustable on the 1.1 inch setting. I believe that's setting number 3. Where you put the little clip on the shock itself. Pretty simple install, I think. I looked it up. I considered doing it myself. I did take it to a shop, really because I didn't have the tools to do it. I didn't feel anyway. And it's something that I didn't want to mess with because it is the steering of the truck, if you will. And I didn't really want to screw that up. And it had to be aligned anyway. And that's probably about a $60 or so charge depending on where you're at. So keep in mind, the price that I'm going to give you does include alignment. So it took them about, I'd say 2.5 hours, and that's including alignment. They actually had to take it to another shop not far away and have it aligned, and that's where the bottleneck is because the guy did the shocks themselves probably in about an hour and a half. Both were done, and then he was off to alignment, which took about an hour or so just to do that. So got the truck back, and I will show you a picture of the alignment stats or where it's at now. You know, they give you a little report when you're done. I'll show you that here in a couple minutes after I give you the pricing. So where did I have it done? Here in South Texas, I had it done at Texas Tire. They do lifts and tires and all kinds of stuff, but I had the other one done there on my prior truck. Had a really good experience, so I went back, and this was another good experience as well. So if you're in South Texas, maybe in the Harlingen area, that's a great place to go. They do a fantastic job there. So let's talk about pricing. Pricing was combined. It includes the shocks, labor, and the alignment, $275 per side. So that gives us a total of $550. So it cost me $550, including the shocks, labor, alignment, to have the job done. Not too bad. Obviously, it would have been cheaper if I'd have just bought them and done them myself. I still would have had to have had the alignment done. But I just feel a little more comfort with something like this, having it done by people that do it all the time, what I'll call experts in doing it. Am I happy with it? Oh man, it's the best I've had so far. And this is the, I believe, 1, 2, 3. It's the third different type of lift that I've done. I did just a block and spacer on my previous 2 trucks, and then I did the shock, coil, and shock replacement along with blocks and spacers on my 2020. And now we've just done the shocks in the front, and I think it's the way to go. It does limit you on the size tires that you can put on, because I think, in my experience, you really need about a 3.5-inch lift in the front to comfortably go with 33-inch tires, a 285/70 R17, and not have any rubbing. And that also requires a negative offset. I had a -12 on my Voodoo Blue Tacoma with that lift, and they worked fine. I had no rubbing. But no way can you put bigger tires on and not do anything. Even these are a 265/75 R16, and at full turn on the steering wheel, going over a very uneven surface, I still had a rub. So don't listen to the people that tell you you can put 265s on and not have any kind of a rub. It's simply not true without doing something to the truck aftermarket. Now, I'm gonna leave up a picture real quick on the alignment. I'll show you right here. You can pause if you wanna see it. Matter of fact, this is where I'll leave it, I guess. That's what it looks like. If you wanna take a closer look again, you can just pause. At the bottom, they show the rears. I don't believe they did anything on the rear. I don't know why they would have. We didn't touch the rear, but there is what it looks like. Done by just a little place here in Harlingen, not far from the shop that I had the coil or the shocks put on in the front. It's called Sanchez Alignment, Balance, and Service. They do a really good job, very professional there. I actually, on my last truck, took it there myself and then watched them do it. Very top-notch operation they have there. Anyway, that's the setup. That's what I've done. I'm very happy with everything on the truck right now. The wheels, the tires, the little bit of lift in the front. Now, if you notice, the front still is a little bit lower. I am going to be putting the sport bar on the back, as I mentioned. There is some weight to that, about 114 pounds. By my calculation, once that's on the truck, should pull the rear down a little bit. I should have a pretty close to almost exactly level truck. That's going to be interesting to see. So stay tuned if you're interested to see how that turns out. Also, real quick, I do have 2 additional channels. Robmotive FST, all about my 2021 Toyota Tundra. And Robmotive JT, all about my 2020 Jeep Gladiator. Check them out, and if you're interested, why not subscribe? Don't forget to click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And do me a favor, smash that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.